I am super excited for this guest specifically. Today we welcome in former UCLA Bruin basketball player, retired NBA star of 12 years, and a member of the Lakers' 1972 NBA championship team, Keith Erickson. Hi, Keith. How are you?
I'm just fine, Nikki. How are you?
Well, I'm fabulous now. It's pretty surreal being able to talk to you. I have grown up a Laker fan, so I'm definitely aware of you.
Oh, so you must have seen me play quite a bit then, huh?
Well, you know, YouTube and people telling me about it.
No, I mean in person.
I can't lie.
I'm just teasing. It's okay.
But do you want to play a one-on-one? We'll go play. Or do you want to play volleyball?
Can't do that. No.
Well, actually, okay, well, just getting right into it, tell us a little bit how basketball entered your life. When did you start playing, and what made you fall in love with the game so much?
Well, I definitely have to go back a little bit. And I'm going to make a statement and then go back from there.
Go for it.
When I went to UCLA, I did not go on a full basketball scholarship. I went on a half baseball, half basketball scholarship. So basketball was not my main endeavor. So now going back, when I was growing up, my father was an excellent tennis player. So he had me playing tennis when I was the same size as a tennis racket. So I played tennis all the time. Then we moved to a very small community here in Southern California, El Segundo, which is just south of the Los Angeles International Airport. Very tiny community, right on the ocean, except for the Hyperion plant. And so I grew up playing all sports and whatever sport was in season. I had played tennis, and then during the summer I played volleyball down at the beach. We went down to El Porto Beach, right next to Manhattan Beach, for any of you people that might know the area a little bit. And so I played those, and I also grew up playing Little League Baseball with all the different, in our little town, we all played together. And then during basketball season, I played that also. So it wasn't like I played basketball all the time. I just played whatever was in season. And just to add a note, when I played Little League Baseball, I know you all might know the name George Brett. George Brett is a, all-time great Major League Baseball player. When I was playing Little League in my last year in Little League, George was the ball boy in our little town of El Segundo. He was the ball boy for Little League, running around in diapers, chasing the balls. So we had great athletes coming out of El Segundo. George and Brett and his brother Kemmer Brett played Major League Baseball. Bob Floyd played Major League Baseball. So anyway, It was a great environment. It was always nice and warm. We could play anything year round. So I was just a participant in whatever sport season was in.
You're the definition of a true athlete.
Of an athlete, that's right. Not a basketball player, an athlete.
Yeah, exactly. You are not one specific thing. You are. Wow. Is it because you just love the sport, or you said your dad started you with tennis, but is your dad really the driving force of putting you into all these things, or?
Yes. And for instance, in El Segundo, there was no baseball field there, so all the fathers got together, and they built the baseball diamond that we played Little League Baseball on. It was a makeshift out in the field. They cut the grass, and somebody marked the lines and put a few bases down, and that was it. So until the city came around, and El Segundo is right next to the Standard Oil refinery, and because of that, they get a lot of tax money, and so they have since built one of the finest recreation parks in all of Southern California. But it wasn't there when I was playing Little League Baseball yet, so it came afterwards.
I'm sure you were probably one of the reasons why they have done that. You and all the amazing athletes that's come out of that area.
Well, All the other young guys, we played everything. That's right.
That is insane. So knowing that you've played so many, I mean, first of all, let's thank your dad, because your dad kind of set you up for life, right?
Yeah.
Making you this amazing athlete. And what was you played all these sports. Did you have a favorite, or was it just whatever was in season was your favorite?
Well, if I would have been able to be paid to be a professional volleyball player, that's what I would have done.
Oh.
And the guys that came, volleyball was a really big sport down on the beaches here of Southern California. Mm-hmm. The best volleyball players in the country on the beach were right down here in Santa Monica State Beach. And as a matter of fact, later on, Wilt Chamberlain came down and played volleyball down there too.
Wow.
So by the time I was retired from the NBA and past my years, I was never able to play on the volleyball tour, although I did play in a number of tournaments. And but there was no money available for winning any tournaments back then. As a matter of fact, I won a hamburger and a Coke one time winning a tournament. Where these guys of St. John Smith and Karch Karai, they made, who knows, millions of dollars. Wow. It became a huge sport and was on television, but I was there too early.
But you did play in the U.S. Olympic team in 1964.
I did, and that was the first year that was the first year of volleyball itself being in the Olympic Games. And then because it was also the first year the United States had a volleyball team that participated in the Olympic Games. So I was still at UCLA. I finished my junior year at UCLA and made the Olympic team. And we went over to Tokyo, Japan as a 20-year-old, the first time I was ever out of the country, and played in the Olympic Games over there. We spent 2 or 3 weeks over there. It was just a phenomenal experience.
That sounds amazing. So it was the first year that volleyball was even in the Olympics. How did you get chosen for that team specifically?
Well, just because of the guys, remember I said the best players were down here in Santa Monica. Mm-hmm. So actually the first player who made an all-world team, his name was Gene Selznick, became a good friend of mine and a mentor. And so he was helping me and learn the game better. And he had a club team that I played on, and we went back to New York, and all the club teams from around the country came together to play in a big tournament. And from that big tournament, they chose the Olympic team. So all the best players were there because of these club teams, and I was there because of Gene Selznick. And of all things, he had been the first all-world player, but politics got involved even back then in 1964. Wow. So it's not unusual that politics is involved in everything today. Mm-hmm. The coach didn't like him, and so he didn't make the team. He was the coach of another team, our team, and he didn't even make the team. And he had been the best player in the country and maybe one of the best in the world. But politics. So
Keith, you're so my wife actually played volleyball, so I know a little bit about the sport, not a lot, but I'm just curious, what position did you play?
I was a hitter.
You were a hitter. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
That's my wife was a middle hitter in college. That's what she played.
I was a roaming hitter.
Okay.
Roaming just means anywhere.
Yeah. You just, right. Well, you have that height too, so I'm sure they need you everywhere on that court. Well, it sounds like you've had a lot of beautiful mentors in your life within your sport, within all the sports that you have dabbled in and accomplished and become pro in, which is insane. Also including John Wooden, your basketball coach over at UCLA. How you guys had an amazing run of championships, the 60s and the 70s. How was it being under Coach Wooden?
It was one of the finest experiences of my life. Playing, and I just being in El Segundo. I mean, it's such a tiny community, and UCLA had not won any championships, and Coach Wooden hadn't yet. So I didn't know anything about Coach Wooden, and I didn't ask UCLA. I went to El Camino Junior College for a year, and it just so happened that my coach there had played for Coach Wooden at UCLA years before. Oh. And so UCLA, it turns out, needed a player or two, and my coach called the assistant coach, Jerry Norman, and he said, you know, I've got a player here that has potential, and so he might be able to help you guys, and you know, take a look. So anyway, he spoke to the assistant coach, spoke to Coach Wooden, and they needed a player. So that's how I got to UCLA, because of my coach at junior college.
You were like the epitome of everything happens for a reason and right time, right place.
Absolutely right. It was remarkable. And this man at El Camino was one of the nicest guys I'd ever met. And then getting to UCLA and being with Coach Wooden, who is the finest man I've ever met. You could not find a better person anywhere. He was just, and I hope we've got about 3 or 4 hours to do this. I can tell you a lot of stories.
Oh, I want to.
Just kidding. I have a lot of great Coach Wooden stories. So.
Oh my God. Well, hopefully off camera you can tell me some, because I seriously would love to chat with you beyond this. You have so much insight, and it's so wonderful, especially for like a sports fan, and even just as an athlete or somebody who is interested in sports. You have so much knowledge of all of the categories, which is wonderful. Mm-hmm. But in 1965, though, after college, you were the 21st overall draft pick of the San Francisco Warriors, who are our champions right now, which is pretty exciting, right?
So I have to put a little perspective on that.
Okay.
So I'm going to go back again to UCLA. So I was, when I got there, one more year, and we tied for the league title, which was a surprise. The next year, we won the NCAA championship. And the following year, we won the NCAA championship again, which was UCLA's first 2 championships, and also Coach Wooden's first 2 championships. So it was a double incredible blessing to be there then, and to play for, just playing for him was enough, but then being able to win a couple of championships on top of that. But I was not the best player on the team. We had 2 guys who were both picked in the first round, Walt Hazard and Gail Goodrich. They were great players. And so at the end of my senior year, Goodrich went very early, and there were only 9 teams in the NBA at that time. And I was chosen as the 4th player chosen for the San Francisco Warriors. Now, if you can imagine, there are only 9 teams, and there are 7 or 8 or 9 that are going to be locked to every team. There were only a few positions available. And I was the 4th guy chosen, and the first 2 happened to be first ranks. Warriors that year had 2 first-round picks. One of them was Rick Barry. Yep. Rick Barry is in the NBA Hall of Fame, Basketball Hall of Fame, one of the greatest. He was the 2nd first-round pick for the Warriors. The first-round pick was a guy named Fred Hetzel, who played at Davidson University. Fred was about 6'8" or 6'9", could play forward and center. Great scorer, a great player. Obviously they felt he was a better player than Rick Barry at that time. And then the 3rd player chosen was a center, which was much needed. And then I was the 4th player chosen. So It was an afterthought that they took me. And so I had no idea what was going to happen. It just, it was a great opportunity. I played volleyball all summer, and playing volleyball and jumping and running in the beach all summer long meant when I got to training camp, I was in better shape than anybody. So what I could do is I could outrun anybody, and I'd play and practice, and I didn't get tired. So that's what helped me make the team, because I am not a good offensive player, wasn't, but I could keep going, and I could play defense and get loose balls and things like that, and I didn't get tired. So that allowed me then to make the team.
I mean, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was just going to mention that we interviewed Rick Barry, actually, Keith. It was He's a pretty interesting guy. That was an interesting interview.
Very much so.
Yeah,
very much so.
Were you, when you first got to that practice and he was there? What was that like? Were you out competing him in practices to begin?
No. Rick Barry was an amazing athlete himself, and he would have been phenomenal all-around athlete if he had played other sports. But he just played basketball.
Right.
So I was in as good or better shape than he was, but he was a phenomenal scorer. He was really outstanding. So, you kind of, where you're going and who you're going up against. I was just, because I was not a scorer, but Rick Barry, I think he scored 27 points a game that rookie season. He might have said something like that.
Yeah. He was very good at scoring.
And the team was they had a great mature roster, guys that had been around, great center, Nate Thurman, Al Adels, Guy Rogers, Tom Meschery, Rick Barry. I mean, it was, so to be able to make that team, it was a great joy to be there and to be a part of the beginning of a nice career.
Yeah, and you were saying that he was a great with points, but you seem to be known in your career about having a very well balanced career in a competitive standpoint. And I feel like it's definitely a testament to all the sports that you played and you being able to stay in shape over time. I mean, your balance of points, assists, rebounds, steals, everything, that clearly was by design. I was going to ask that actually because of just being so well balanced, but it sounds like you were just bred and molded into this, just a real well-rounded athlete that took off basketball.
Well, yeah, it's a good observation. And I go back to my early days of playing tennis. You play tennis, and my father was really outstanding, and I became an okay player. But what you learn in tennis is how to read the court, how to feel. If the ball's over there, then you can cut over here so much, and you have a little bit open space, but he can't get it there because he's over here. So you read the court, and so I learned that really well at a young age, which really helped me in all these different things, playing defense and steals and rebounds and things like that. So that was a very good observation, and that's what happened and helped me to be a part of that league.
That's amazing. So far we're in your career at the Warriors. Are you a Warrior fan? And I hope you're proud of at least what your team has been doing since they're the champions right now.
It's been a long time since I was a Warrior, and I was only there for 1 year. But it might be of interest to you to know, the guys, I think Steph Curry's going to sign a contract for $250 million or something like that. Well, things were a little bit different back then. My first year's salary was $9,500.
Wow.
What?
With a $100 bonus.
Oh.
And we went into training camp.
That's insane.
And they gave me a bonus so I'd have money during training camp. And then when the season started, the general manager said, by the way, that wasn't a bonus, that was an advance. We're taking it out of your $9,500. So it was $9,400 that I actually made that year.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. The amount of money they throw at players now, I'd be a little
I'd like to see Steph get by on $9,400 a year.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh.
So anyway, back to that. I enjoy watching them play. I enjoy watching these days. I enjoy watching good team basketball, and they have a considerable amount of that. The Lakers don't. So I enjoy watching the Warriors when I get an opportunity.
Did they still have the reserve clause in the contracts then when that first year where the team can basically just say, hey, we're keeping you on at the same salary number, or did they not have that by the time you were in there?
Oh, that was if you were going to stay around, that's the number you get for the whole
Okay.
year. Nothing changes.
Yeah.
Well, then following your career, I mean, like I said, I grew up a Lakers fan, and they did play last night actually against the Warriors, which is crazy.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, they did. I watched it.
Your two favorite teams. That's right. Go ahead.
They're all my local teams, which is really cool.
Okay.
But when you got to the Lakers in 1969, your team was loaded with Hall of Fame talent: Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, Baylor. And what was your role on that team?
Carrying the bags. Carrying your bags. It was, I had played, so my first year was in San Francisco. Then I played in Chicago for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
And then traded to the Lakers. So I was traded back to my hometown. I was here in Los Angeles again.
Yeah.
So it was just phenomenal to be back at home again. And not only that, but to be able to play with Wilt Chamberlain and Elgin Baylor and Jerry West, three of the greatest players, no question, of all time. It was just unbelievable to be able to be out there and to compete with them and to become friends with them and travel. And it was beyond blessing to the utmost, to be a part of that group, to play with them.
Now,
and go ahead.
I just wanted to, I know you're being humble here, but let's not forget you were a starter on that team, were you not? I mean,
I was a starter quite a bit on the Lakers, but only because I was, they had scorers, Elgin holds the record to this day for most points scored in a NBA Finals series game. He scored 71 points in the NBA Finals.
Oh,
God.
He still holds that record. Wilt holds the record for all 100 points in a game.
Yeah.
Jerry West, he played in a series we played against the Celtics, and Jerry had a hamstring injury, pulled or something, and he only averaged 44 points a game in that series. If you can imagine. I mean, playing with those guys every day, it was unbelievable. But
they still need a glue guy, right? They need a guy like yourself to do everything at least a little bit, right? So to rebound, to steal, to play defense.
Yes. Yeah. Defense.
So that's a cool role to have on that team.
Oh my golly, it couldn't have been any better. It couldn't have been better. It was something I will never forget, playing with those three guys. Every night there was something by one of the three of them, or that I just can't believe that. I can't believe what Elgin just did, or Jerry or Wilt. I mean, every night it was like that.
Well, then you might be able to answer this next question. So, being with the Lakers, you had a lot of playoff games, and most of them, like we were saying, are with the Lakers. And what do you have a most memorable playoff moment within your NBA career with the Lakers?
Well, yes, and during that championship season, 1972, at the beginning of the season, I had surgery on one knee. In the middle of the season, I had surgery on my other knee. So I only played little bits in that I was not playing at the end when they won. So, but being a part of the team and, being with them all that time, the whole year, and, every year for 5 years with all those guys, I was a part of the team, and it was just a great thrill to finally win the championship for the Lakers for the first time in Los Angeles. So just being a part of it was a great joy. Yes.
Oh, that's amazing. And then, yes, and it's amazing that you got to celebrate it at home. I'm sure it was just even more massive celebration.
Yeah, it was great.
Was any of those other guys from LA at all? Was this their home, or just yourself that you remember?
Yeah, I for sure, Elgin, Jerry, and Wilt were not from Los Angeles. And I don't think any of the other guys were either. I think I was the only one.
You had a little special moment.
Yeah, that's right. Hometown.
Good for you. I love that. And then moving through your career, which is just so impressive already, you were traded to Phoenix in 1973.
Yes.
And you had another playoff run with them in 1975. There was a memorable game against Boston on June 4th, 1976. Some call the greatest game ever played. What do you remember most about that game?
Well, it was, I don't know about, it was the most exciting game ever played. And here's one thing that, in particular, we were down by 2 points with just a couple of seconds to play in the game. And we inbounded the ball. Curtis Perry, one of our forwards, inbounded the ball at half court. And Gar Hurd moved around a little bit and caught the ball right by the free throw line extended. He caught the ball, and in Boston Garden, you know, they're going crazy. And this, you know, it's the end of the second overtime. And we're down 2 with like 2 seconds to play. Gar gets the ball, turns around, and he had very long arms, and he shot it very high. And the defender was there, and he went up above, and this high arching shot, and it was like, you know, the gun goes off, and the game's over, and the ball went through. And the place, they started to go into just uproar, and then it was like, oh, you know, all the air in the arena left, you know. It was tied and went into the third overtime. And that's why, you know, it was such an exciting series. It was third overtime game. We had an opportunity to win. The referees clearly jobbed us. And it was, but it was great to be a part of that.
Well, yeah, and we know like Boston fans can get crazy. So I'm sure like the opposing team coming in on their turf and then like scoring that almost just about impossible shot. I mean, you can't help but be like, oh my, and have like an outburst, like out loud reaction. But I'm sure once they realized that it was not for them, and
it turned from a roar into a gasp. Oh,
oh my God, I can only imagine.
It was very.
And that was and that happening in, I mean, against Boston. I mean, that was for context. That was the Boston was just like the epitome of a dynasty. I mean, like Red Auerbach, all the championship banners. Seeing a game like that with all the banners and with Red Auerbach and, you know, everything, that must have been something. That must have been amazing.
It was great. It was really, and it was an experience to play in the old Boston Garden. Yeah. The parquet floor, you know, you might have heard that these chunks of wood out there, and some of them were dead. So, you know, you dribble the ball and you'd hit a dead spot and the ball wouldn't bounce. And you go in the locker room, and Red Auerbach would have the heat on, and it'd be 113 degrees in our locker room, and it was cool in theirs. And the showers didn't work in our locker room, but they worked just fine in theirs. And there was all rats in our locker room, but not in theirs. You know, there were a lot of fun things like that going on that Red Auerbach used to pull for his home team in the Boston Garden.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
I don't think you probably couldn't get away with that in today's game. I would imagine that would be there'd be lawsuits. There'd be lawsuits. The Players Association would be mad about it.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
I wanted to jump to, if we could real quick, I wanted to just go over some cards for a second, and then we can jump back to maybe a couple stories. But because so obviously you start your career in 65, but in the sports card world, there aren't any Topps basketball cards until 1969. No major manufacturer is printing basketball cards until 69. Topps just didn't see the money in it, and then in 69 they decided to start printing it. So your rookie card is actually this one right here. So this is from 1969 Topps. There you are, and with the Lakers, you've been with the Lakers for this was your first year with the Lakers, or second year, I guess.
Second year.
Second year. So you know, I mean, do you have a copy of this card? Is this something that you've seen? Have you signed autographs on this thing? Is that
okay? Yeah, I've seen it. Okay. I understand there are but 5 or 6 of them out there. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And the other, I was going to mention. So I looked up the all-time record sale of that card, just because I was curious, because you said the thing about your $9,500 salary. It's not quite to that, but it looks like the all-time record sale. I think someone paid for a PSA 10, so a perfect copy of it. Someone paid $1,500 for that.
That's ridiculous. I was going to guess 25 cents would be the top.
No,
I've got the sale.
No.
No, that's ridiculous. That didn't happen. 1,500. No way.
It's a real sale.
It's a real sale.
Yep.
I've got to see it to believe it.
Keith, you're a badass. You don't even know it? What the heck?
Right.
I'm mad now. That's more than my bonus. More than my bonus was.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to get your card, have ownership of it, and then sell it, and then just get some more money. And coming from you selling your own card, I think you can probably up that price.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
It's interesting. I didn't know that it started, in 1969. Like the card, all of a sudden there were cards and sign them, and who in the heck has got these cards and taking a cruddy picture or something, and it was not something it was brand new. We didn't know anything about it, and it wasn't a big deal.
But you were familiar with baseball cards, I'm sure. I mean,
a little bit, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just going back to the cards, these are they're tall. They're tall boys. They're they're taller than a normal card.
Yeah.
Yeah. Compare that to this one. This is from 1971. This is more of a traditional size card. This is the 71. Yeah, I love the style. The shirt, the hair. This looks fantastic. I think you look great in this photo.
I love it.
I'll tell you. You have time for a story about that?
Yes, Keith.
Of course.
Fire away.
So, Elgin Baylor was one of the biggest teasers ever. So my hair was long at that time, and it was guys didn't wear their hair long like that. And so he said he was driving home, and he said he drove up and he saw this guy driving a car. He saw somebody driving a car, and he thought it was a girl, he said. And it drove alongside, and he said, it was you. It was you. You got a girl's hairdo, long hair, and it was highly unusual, back then. And he wasn't going to let it go by. It was funny.
He just keep teasing you about it?
Yeah, he was a tease about everything.
But you're a California. Did you ever surf? Because and even volleyball, like California beach, like you definitely would let your hair down and grow.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, body surf. Yes.
Yeah.
Not on a board. It was too dangerous.
Okay, now I'm curious because I am a fellow prankster, and I get that from my grandma. She was awesome with all those. And you just said that Elgin Baylor was a prankster or a jokester. Can you give me one of his monumental jokes that he played maybe on you or someone else that you know?
I'll tell you a funny story that Elgin was a part of, and it was just because he was always a jokester. And it was before I got to the team, and when I mentioned that Elgin scored 71 points in the game. It was a friend of Jerry West, who was a generation ahead of Jerry West from West Virginia, playing with the Lakers. His name was Hot Rod Hunley. He was a guard, and he was very funny. And after the game where Elgin scored 71 points, that was in Madison Square Garden, and the fans are crazy in the Garden. Well, Boston and New York.
Yeah.
They walked out together, Hot Rod and Elgin, and they called a cab. And Elgin got in, and Hot Rod got in behind him. He said, "Listen, Caddy, before you take off, I just want you to know, we just beat the Knicks in the Garden. You're not going to be happy. And the two of us scored 73 points. And I want you to know, you've got some pretty valuable players in the cab with you here, buddy." Let's go.
That's incredible. That's awesome.
So anyway, that was Elgin's kind of back and forth
Humor.
with Hot Rod. Yeah, it was very funny.
Oh
That's
my
amazing.
God. That is really funny. I love that.
Hopefully the cab ride ended up.
I've told that story to some people. Good for you too. I've told that story to some people and they didn't understand what was funny about it.
You're right.
How can you not?
Points.
Yeah.
Maybe they were sleeping or they didn't hear the.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you got it.
That's awesome.
Hilarious. Yeah.
Hey, let's look at an action shot here. This is from your 1973 Tops.
Oh my God.
I don't know who's guarding you there, but it looks like you got to step on him.
Yeah, he had fallen asleep out there on the floor. So see, here's an interesting. I haven't thought about this, but with our conversation, do you see where I'm looking? I'm looking to pass.
Yeah.
Rick Barry would have, if he was 15 or 20 feet farther out, he would be looking to shoot.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was going to pass the ball. I'm looking for the open man there,
Yeah.
instead of shooting.
Right.
Scorers like Elgin and Jerry and Wilt and Rick Barry, always looking to score, shoot first, and then pass if you've got nothing else to do.
Did you have, with the Lakers in those early 70s, did you have a kind of cohesive offensive strategy that everyone kind of followed, or was it just your style out there? Whenever you had the ball, you did what you knew how to do best. Was there a kind of overall strategy from the coaching side? It
was. Bill Sharman was the coach that year in '72 when we won the championship, and he was great, just outstanding. And he had everybody working together, playing together, looking for the open man. And Happy Hairston was probably the other forward on the team that was not a scorer like I wasn't. So we'd get the ball and move it quickly to Elgin or to Jerry and looking into Wilt. We knew where to go with the ball. Everybody knew what the other guy's strengths were and what to do and where to get the ball to them. So there was a knowledge in unity out there on the floor. Yes.
Yeah. I really love this photo. I think this is a great card because I think this does a great job of showing your all-around skill. I mean, like you said, looking to pass, but you've got your athleticism ready to make a play wherever it's available. I think it's great. I think it's a great shot.
It is a great shot.
Where is that taken? Can you tell where that shot is taken? Or is that at the?
That was at the Forum.
At the Forum.
Forum in Inglewood. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Pre Jerry Buss Forum, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Very different form, I think. And then the only other one I have is this one. This is just from your Phoenix days. Nice. A staged photo. Obviously you had to. I guess what did you have to just go into a photo studio for this one, or did they just show up with a backdrop for you?
Yeah, it had to be a backdrop. And here's the interesting part of that is that I couldn't dribble the ball left-handed, and you see that's what I'm doing right there. So that's why you can tell it was staged.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. So on the court, you'll never see you dribbling left-handed. Good to know.
That's right. Get it over to Elgin or Jerry or Wilt. That was the rule.
But you can palm the ball really well, I see.
A little bit, yeah. With my left hand, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Amazing. That's good stuff. Yeah, I think your cards. You have a handful of cards throughout the years, but Topps basketball was not a hugely popular at the time. Like basketball cards, like you mentioned, basketball cards really weren't a part of the culture, not nearly as like baseball was. I mean, baseball cards, 50s and 60s and 70s, that was everything. But basketball cards were kind of not, and they're nowadays they're much bigger, but it's just kind of interesting. you probably didn't see it a lot back then. Like you said, you didn't really even realize that, oh, I guess we have these.
Yeah. I don't recall seeing any until, many years later. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's really insane since you were on so many.
3 or 4.
Yeah. Just to be on them. I mean, I'm not on a basketball card, so I know they exist.
Keith, can we ask you I just want to ask you a couple quick hitters real quick, and then we'll close it out for you. Okay. Is that all right?
Okay. Sure.
So who was, thinking throughout your whole career, who would you say your favorite teammate was? For whatever reason, who was your favorite teammate?
It was Wilt Chamberlain, because he was bigger than life. He was just the most dominant, strongest, loudest in a group. He knew more than anybody else. He took over the locker room. Elgin used to be the last word in the locker room. But when Wilt got there, he just took over and he got the last word, and he was the biggest and the strong. He was bigger than life. And, the only player that's most dominant ever, 100-point game. Can you imagine? Unbelievable. Averaged over 50 points a game for an entire season. If a guy gets 13 rebounds these days, put him in the Hall of Fame. Wilt averaged like 27 rebounds for that season. It's just unreal. It was just something really special.
Okay, who was the toughest opponent? The toughest person to guard, or the person who was hardest to play, offense against? Who was the toughest opponent you had?
Toughest was easily Oscar Robertson. Oscar was about 6'5". He weighed about 225 at the time. Strong, and he was one of the superstars in the league at the time. And you need to know, superstars get special treatment. And I used to guard Oscar, and I would bump him accidentally, and it was a foul on me. And I would if I had the ball at the other end and Oscar knocked me on the floor, it was my fault. It wasn't Oscar. So you know that, going in, you can't touch him or it's a foul. So it was just, but he was he was so outstanding. It was just a real honor to be able to guard him whenever we played them. I got to guard him. So it was fun.
And then the last one, and maybe this is a good one to finish on. What advice would you give to young basketball players now? Young players now who either want to make it a career or just want to get better. What advice would you give to young basketball players today?
Well, that's really easy. It's like whatever you're going to do. And I've seen some things on Instagram. The only way I can get on Instagram, if my granddaughters are around, they can get me on there. And I watch some things. These young kids today, you see kids dribbling the ball and through their legs and going behind and doing and shooting from distance. And so the point of that is practice, practice, practice every waking minute. That's what made Kobe Bryant as great a player as he was. Practicing all the time. And Michael Jordan, yes.
He practiced.
I think I just read something Michael Jordan said, most people consider him the greatest ever. He said, in my career, I missed 7,000 shots or something like that. An incredible number. But you've got to take a lot of shots to get good and to make a lot, like he did. So it's very easy. Practice, practice, practice.
That's great. That's great advice.
Keith, you are amazing. I'm so excited to have kind of internet meet you. I don't know.
that's just because you played volleyball. That's all.
No, I do love volleyball. Honestly, beach volleyball is one of my favorite sports ever to play and watch. It's always so fun. I love everyone diving for the ball and really going for it. Anything that really has your true heart, you put your all into it, and you can tell with volleyball because people just like dive. It's so much fun to watch. But I love that that was your
Well,
favorite. Do what now?
I just said thank you very much. It was nice working with the two of you. Very nice people.
Thank you very much, Keith. We really appreciate your time. This was great. Yeah, this is awesome. I think it turned out really well.
I only did it because Greg said he's going to pay me for being here.
Oh, well, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, good for you. Hopefully, maybe you can compete with your salary.
with my bonus.
With your bonus.
That I had to give back. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I'll have to pay him. It's okay. Okay.
I think he needs to give you. I think he needs to give you one of the copies of your card, your rookie card, and that one that was worth $1,500. Maybe he can find that one.
Well, that'd be great. I'll get it on the way out. Okay. Thank you.
Good.
Thanks a lot, Keith.
You've been amazing. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.